Are you able to see the Fundamental Friday screen?
Yep.
Okay, beautiful. Just want to make sure. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming to our weekly FunFri. Again, this is going to be an amazing time. We are going over the fundamentals of success, of achievement, of you being able to get to the next level. And this is information that is available to everybody. So if you're showing up here, you're probably one of three different types of people. One, either you were invited by a friend or family. In that case, welcome. We're extremely excited that you're here. Two, you might be a person who is actually already a client. You just want to be able to get better at the fundamentals. Or three, you might just be somebody who's interested in helping grow FQ3C, whether that's through you getting compensation for it, or maybe you're just looking at potential opportunities within the FQ3C ecosystem that we have. Either way, you're at the right place. And we're so, again, excited that you are here today. Now, we have a few reasons why we're here and why we're giving this for free. Number one, I'm going to tell you a story. So let me tell you the story right now. There was a wolf and a fox that were talking to each other. And the wolf was like, you know what I do? Whenever I'm trying to catch my prey, I stalk them, and then I observe them, and then I hunt their trail. And when I find them, I pounce on them, and I get my prey, and that's how I eat my meals. And the fox reply was, that seems really hard. Why would you do that? Why don't you just create a fence big enough so that the chicken or the sheep, whatever you like, is happy and content and likes to stay within that boundary? And all you do is while the sheep are happy and having families and growing up and growing their young, just have them give you one of their kin every once in a while. You're giving them life and you're giving them comfort. All they have to do is give you a little bit of a cost. Why not just do that? So I tell you this story to let you know that right now in today's world, at the end of the day, really what it is we are in a predator and prey world. Now, we're not talking about predators from just this story that we talked about. What we're really talking about here is predatory products, predatorial systems, predatorial education, predatorial people. It could even be your predatorial family members. In today's world, we are fighting this huge problem where the predators, let's just be honest, are winning. And at FQ3C, we have identified this as such a big problem that we are now on the crusade to make it so that predators no longer have a platform. So yes, quietly, all these predators hate FQ3C. And so if you're a person who also hates predatorial product systems, ideas, everything like that, then we know that you're going to love what we have today. And what we do have is the fundamentals that we're sharing with you. So when we're talking about the fundamentals, what does that really mean? Well, what that means is that you're thinking in FQ3C. And the reason why is because FQ3C is the way to get convicted. And we're going to go deeper into that and what that means later on. But I want you to remember that word, convicted. Okay. Now, I myself, I am here today as a certified implementer and certified strategist. Just to go a little bit into my background, I do have a family. And yes, actually, I was the founder of FQ3C and creating the achievement behavioral model, which is literally the model that for the first time ever, you can measure yours, your clients, your businesses, everybody's conviction levels. This is something that's so universal and so critical to your success and your achievement and those that you love and care about their success and their achievement. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to share with you the fundamentals so that you can finally have a little bit of insight, a little bit of clarity into the truth of what's going on around you. And that is what FQ3C is standing upon, is a truth company. We don't like BS. If you like BS, then you're going to not like us very much. But if you like the truth, if you like to have conviction, if you like to have achievement, if you like to have the best of the best, then you are absolutely at the right place. place. So let's talk a little bit first and foremost, what is FQ3C? A lot of people are confused when I say what is FQ3C. They go like, well, isn't that a model? Yes. Is that a system? Yes. Is it a company? Yes. Is it technology? Yes, it is. Is it products? Yes. FQ3C, we chose to make it so that the model, system, company, technology, and products is all centered around the core, which is the 12 variables of achievement. These are the 12 variables that you need to implement with every single one of your objectives to become successful, period. Now, that is where we need to start first and foremost with the fundamentals today, everybody. It is goals. Now, I know that lots of people think that this is a really unfortunate conversation because like, oh my gosh, I've heard this over and over again. Oh yeah, I know. You got to make goals and then stick with your goals and goals. And a lot of people literally have abandoned it. And the reason why is because the old models of goal creation suck. That's short. But here's the thing. We know that no matter what success you have in life, no matter what you're trying to achieve, that success absolutely 100% of the time starts with a goal. Period. You cannot combat this fact. But when we look at the models that are out there currently, generally speaking, they have let you down. In all honesty, we're going to call it out. We're going to call a spade a spade. They're predatory. They have been placed in the market not for the sake of your benefit. They've been placed for the sake of just somebody trying to, more than likely, make some quick cash. So here's the thing. What sets us apart? Well, we are the gold standard for goal creation. And this is a big claim, but we actually have the data to prove it. So here's the story. V2 Mom, show of hands if you've ever heard of V2 Mom before. Okay, yeah, nobody's heard of V2 Mom. Perfect. V2 Mom is actually the #1 goal creation model system that has been out there for a very, very, very long time. And it is in the top 10 list. And yes, there is actually a top 10 list out there. And for those of you who know about SMART goals, no, SMART goals is not #1. It was like number 5 or 6 or something. Okay. Now, V2 Mom was the reigning champion until we came along and we beat V2 Mom by 23%. To put this into perspective, if you and I were to try to run a race, right? Let's say it's 4 laps, a 4-lap sprint around a track. This is the equivalent that I am crossing the finish line when you still have a full lap to go. That's a huge margin, but it gets even better. We not only took #1 spot in the top 10 rankings, and by the way, we were measured in 17 categories in this, so this was really hard and really strict, but we also swept the competition. There was not a single other model that beat us in any one of the 17 categories. And to top it all off, we had our base 5 model that actually took 2nd place and our 12V model, which took 1st place. And you're going, wait a minute, 23%. But that means that V2 Mom is now in 3rd place. Yes, you're correct. We beat V2 Mom by our 2nd place at 23%. So our 2nd place best had that full extra lap ready to go. That is how powerful and how crazy good and why it is that we are the gold standard and we have the data to prove it. So let's talk about this for a second. Let's talk about achievement as a whole. When we look at what is the minimum requirement to achieve, you must write your goal, track your goal, and have accountability for your goal. So remember that, write, track, account. So for this to actually happen, you need to actually think about why is it that you're not doing it right now? But before we even do that, let's look at something else. Let's look at what happens in life right now if you don't even do any of them, which, show of hands, if you right now are not actually doing all three of those things: writing a goal, tracking a goal, and having accountability for your goals. You have to have all three, right? Okay. Nobody was able to raise their hand for all three. So let's talk about this for a second. If you don't do any of the three at all, and you woke up today, the University of Scranton estimates that's approximately 8% odds of success that you are going to just wake up and be successful at whatever your objective was. The American Society for Training Development estimates it's about 10%. So we averaged it out and we said, you know what? Let's average it to about 9%. So for you just waking up today, you got 9%. Congratulations. I'm happy for you. That's enough to maybe go and make your food and maybe go win some video games or something, right? So what are your true odds then? Let's look at that first. What are the real odds that you have for achievement? Well, let's look at this as a pie, and we call this our success wheel. As you see in this first slice, we have the success of 9%. That again is for you waking up in the morning. But if we just write, track, and have accountability, it skyrockets by 67% that you increase your odds. So the question is, how's that broken up? 22% is for writing, 19% is for tracking, and 26% is for accountability. Okay? Now, here's the thing. You still aren't technically going to be successful here because there still is 24% of your odds that are going to not succeed. And I'm going to put this into perspective. Imagine there's a room of 100 people and all of them woke up, wrote their goals, tracked their goals, had accountability. Still, 24 of those people in that room are going to fail. They're not going to reach their objectives. That's crazy, right? Well, why is that? Well, it's because you have inadequate resources, psychological barriers, poor behavior, poor goal design, and external disruptions that are still plaguing you, even with you doing your writing, tracking, accountability. But let's do this for a second. Let's look at this a little bit differently. Let's rearrange this pie into the standard process that we would actually try and go about writing, tracking, creating our goal, and achieving our goals. So again, we're going to start with our 9%. Now, our 9%, to just writing it down means you get 31% of your odds. That's pretty good, but I don't like them. If you just write a fully comprehensive goal, which is the FQ3C model for goal creation, you get 35%. If you have formal tracking, this is not writing it down on a napkin. This is an actual systematic process, somewhere where the data is constantly updating, can see your trends, that's 54%. And if you want to incorporate the correct mindset and you have follow through, just doing the actions you're supposed to take, you get to 63%. Guys, I don't know if you know this. This is not good still. I don't like these odds. So how do you skyrocket again? It's that formal accountability. You get to 89% when you have a coach, when you have somebody who's in your life who's telling you, listen, you need to go do X, Y, Z, and I'm not going to allow you to lie to yourself, right? And by the way, this doesn't count for you having your roommate or your brother waking you up in the morning because the alarm clock was missed or something. We're talking about real accountability for your goals and objectives. So if that's the case, then to finally reach the 90th percentile, you actually, for the first time, need to remove disruptions. Now I'm going to pause here for a moment. Show of hands, who of you is a coach or a teacher, and you're basically in charge of managing somebody else's goals and objectives? Okay. Now, what's the number one reason that most of these people, and this also includes sales, say that they're not able to accomplish their objectives? They're not able to make the changes in their life. Yeah, exactly. It's resources. So you're telling me that the number one reason for excuses accounts for the least amount of your odds of success. This is what's holding you back from you being able to achieve your goals? This is what it is? That's craziness. This is like the story of the fox saying, hey, listen, just give him a fence and let him know that, oh, man, you just don't have enough money. Or, oh, man, you just don't have enough people. Or, oh, man, you just don't have enough skills or knowledge. Whatever. Just go get it. This is not much at all, and we're calling your BS right now. And I hope you are willing to accept it, because this is statistics, this is the data, this is the truth. So let's look at this in a different light. Okay, if this still isn't hitting home, I want to show you something. There's approximately 8.2 billion, that's B, people on the planet today. Now, out of those 8.2 billion people, only 4% write their goals. Now, mind you, this includes napkins, okay? Only 10% track their goals. This includes the person just saying, oh, I have it in my head, which we all know is not really going to get you much of anywhere. And only 10% have some form of accountability that doesn't have to even be paid. This can be that brother who woke you up in the bed out in the morning, right? So if we look at this and we say, okay, what are the odds, or how many people on this planet today do all three? They write, they are able to track, and they have accountability. How many do all three? It's 8.2 billion people, and only 8.2 million do all three. That's it. That means that's 0.01% of the world, of the entire world, are the ones who do the three basic things that they need to do to get them to 76% odds of success in their favor. That's it. You know what's crazy about this? That's about 2.3% of the United States. If we took all of those people around the world, we picked them up, we threw them to the United States, they would account for only about 2.3% of the population of the United States. That's it. Do you know, we could fit that entire population into Chicago. That's like that world map when you were a kid. You take a thumbtack and you just stick it into the map. That right there is the entirety of all the people who are doing the base three things that they need to do to achieve today. That's it. So here's another interesting thing. 0.01% of the world has 25% of the world's wealth. This means about 8.2 million people. It's about 8.2 million people where each of those adults have about $5 million to their name. The rest have something severely less than that. Hey, welcome, Omar. We're just rocking and rolling here. So each adult has 5 million, 0.01%. Here's the short of it. If you are not doing the basic things that they are doing, how can you expect to be somebody who has this in your bank account? It's that simple. But here's the crazy thing, right? These things sound super simple. So if it's 76% that these guys are leveraging, why is it that you don't simply just do them? That's a curious question. Well, this is some of the challenges that we've been able to dive into, and we're going to let you know the things that you already knew, but we're now going to put it into real perspective for you today. The first thing we call is blurriness. Your vision, you don't know where you're going. You don't know how to get there. You don't know where you're starting. Basically, you just don't know. You're just winging it. This is literally by definition people who are spinning their wheels, chasing their tails, banging their heads, and stuck in analysis paralysis. They just don't know where they're going. And because of that blurriness, which accounts for 4% of your odds of success, that's it, it is preventing you from the 76% that you could so easily obtain if you just did it. You're going, wow, really? Just all I have to do is get clear? Yeah. But you know what's crazy? Is there's a reason why this is so hard. I'm going to tell you a story quick. There's a kid by the name of Nehemiah, one of our clients. Nehemiah is 16 years old. And when he shared his story with us, he said, Shane, I have the goal where I want to become a D1 athlete, just like my brother, who's already in college. And he said, I wrote down my goals. to the best of my ability, and I submitted it to my counselor. My counselor looked at it and said, oh, okay, this looks good, and then just put it on a pile. And he said, nobody's ever contacted me. Nobody's ever told me if it was good, bad. Nobody ever told me anything from there on if what I had done was good, right, bad, indifferent, ugly, whatever. He had blurriness. So here's the crazy part. We literally live in a world where the blind is leading the blind at this point. I know that that counselor also has no idea what is best for Nehemiah for him to get to his D1 college. He doesn't, which is why nothing was taken advantage of. There was no action took place, right? Well, when Nehemiah sat down with us, we didn't just do one goal, we did 5 goals. And we asked him after that, hey, listen, for these 5 goals that you just wrote down, how long would it have taken you to have gotten to this comprehensiveness and readiness so you can start taking action today on your objectives? And he said 1 year. A full year to get there. No wonder why his counselor didn't do anything with it. So how long did it take him with FQ3C? Remember, the goal creation of goal, or the gold standard for goal creation. We were able to do it in 45 minutes. Guys, blurriness accounts for 4%. Who has a year of their life to try and overcome 4% so they can finally get to the writing and the tracking and the accountability? Almost nobody. But you know what? I'm sure that you have 45 minutes somewhere in this next week. It could be even tonight, where you would actually be able to sit down, get some of this banged out, get your goals, and remove the blurriness. So if we look at this, right, we're saying that 1 year equals 4%. That's why it's so hard. These other people who are in that 0.01%, they got systems, they got operations, they got people, they got connections, they got all these things to overcome that stuff for them. But you know what? Most of us in this room, most of us who are going to hear this, don't. It's up to us to figure it out. And that's craziness to think about, right? One year for 4%. But if you're just reframing it and thinking of, you know what, this is 45 minutes to get my 4% so I can get the remaining 76% of my odds in my favor, this becomes much more doable, doesn't it? This is part of the fundamentals. Now listen, there is something I need to let you know. The reason why he was able to do it in 45 minutes is not just because of the goal model that we have and the FQ3C model that we have for achievement, is because we also have some tools available. He did, in fact, use our goal creation tool, which completely streamlined the whole entire process, and in 45 minutes was able to come up with 5 goals. Fully comprehensive. And when we asked him, we said, Nehemiah, do you need anything else at this point? He said, no. I was like, if you go to school tomorrow and somebody asks you, what's your goals? Is there anything else you feel like you need to? He's like, no, there's nothing else I need to give them. He's like, I can literally start taking action on this right now. And he did. He started taking action literally that day. He started calling his friends and getting things moving. It was amazing to witness the motivation of this kid who's 16 years old right in front of our eyes because he finally could see where it was going. So what's one of the other things that are holding you back from the 76%? Motivation and chunking. Now, many of you are not familiar with chunking. Chunking just simply means you're either looking at something from the big bird's eye view, like you're looking at the whole picture, or you're chunking down where you're looking at the microscopes, the little minor minutiae of what it takes to go from step 1 to step 2 and eventually climb the mountain. And that's honestly a huge challenge for a lot of people. Many people who are big visionaries can see the mountain, but they get overwhelmed when they look at the day-to-day and the tasks that are in front of them. And there's other people that look at the tasks in front of them, and then they try and just look up, and they get the shell shock of looking at the mountain of things in front of them that they have to climb in order to get to the mountaintop. Either way, chunking up and down is required for a person and is actually a huge aspect of the root of motivation. We can see this perfectly within people who do New Year's resolutions. By show of hands, how many of you have a friend or family that has failed on their New Year's resolution? Yeah, every single person. Yep, every single person. Perfect. Okay. We know that there is a motivation problem. Why? Most of the people, when they write their goals, are either writing it from the big mountaintop or they're writing it from the micro step. And when they start getting going, you know what? They got lots of motivation, just like this light bulb. It's light bulb all full blown. But just give it time. Just allow them to wear it down. And that motivation dies. It just fizzles out. So here's what really sucks. This right here, this motivation and chunking accounts for about 22% of the odds that are preventing you from getting to your success, preventing you from you achieving whatever it is you're looking to achieve today. That's a lot. But yeah, motivation's a huge problem. Literally, people say, yeah, I'm self-motivated. Well, why are they self-motivated? It's because they're clear. It's because they're able to see the step today. They're able to see the mountaintop for the end goal, and they can see the path to get there. If you guys aren't catching my drift, goal creation is about being able to see the beginning, middle, and end and knowing exactly what I need to do to make it happen. We are motivated when we know what's coming next. So, speaking of motivation, we have the book called Doomed to Succeed. You can purchase it on the website if you'd like. Or you can speak with whoever it is that invited you today, and they'd be happy to show you where you can purchase this. This book did something incredible. In fact, it was our first case study to even launch the company because we wanted to make sure that what we had here was real, was tangible, was measurable, was attainable. It was able to actually get people to the final destination, right? So here's a crazy thing. By show of hands, how many of you think you could write a book, give you 3 years? All right, keep your hands up if you think you could do it in 2 years. Keep it up if you think you could do it in 1 year. Okay, we got some hands that just went down. Okay, keep it up if you think you could do it in 6 months. Okay, we got a couple of the probably authors in here who know how to, okay. What about 30 days? Okay, everybody's hands just went down. All right. This book was written, which is 62,000 words, in 16 days with FQ3C. Yes, with the model, with some of the tools and resources that we have. 16 days. And I know what you were thinking. You were thinking we were using AI. No, we did not do AI. This is all by hand. That's crazy. Who does something like that? That's the point. The 0.01% of the population are doing the things that are crazy. And we are showing you that FQ3C is able to make you be one of those people. Absolutely, it can. And we wanted to let you know how to reframe and think about this. Going back to Nehemiah for a second, right? He did 5 goals, okay? And those 5 goals, again, were 1 hour to get 4%. Well, you know what is the next most taxing piece to overcome? That's tracking. Tracking takes a long time, guys. Literally for 5 goals, on average, most people would say it would take them 1.5 hours to do that. And that accounts for 19% of your odds of success, by the way. 5 goals, 1.5 hours. Who has time for that to do that every single day? That's crazy talk. Right? I don't know about you, but I have kids. I have a family. I have multiple businesses. I still have to show up here today. 1.5 hours is wild. This is another reason why you've been held back from doing it, because it's just time consuming to do the tracking. Now, what if you could do 1.5 hours work in 10 minutes? Okay, now it's doable, right? Show of hands, who can spare 10 minutes to make sure they enter into the 0.01% of the population? Who can spare that time? And by the way, this is for 5 goals. Okay, everybody here can do that. Well, here's the question. How do we make it so it goes from 1.5 hours to 10 minutes in order to get this 19%? Well, we built a tool for that. We built a tool that's able to actually get your behaviors, help you understand your conviction levels, measure it, give you trend data, and allow you to track it from beginning to end until you achieve your objectives. Now, listen, why do you want to track it? The reason why you want to track it is because you want to be able to see, are you really willing to do what it takes? And you want to get to that answer as fast as possible. You want to get to a yes or no. This is the fundamentals of efficiency. It's not sitting there and trying to wait. It is taking initiative and just making it happen, whether it's a left or right, a yes, a no, an up, a down, a Shirley or Susan I'm going to marry, whatever the decision is. Speed is built into decision making, and tracking allows you to be able to make better decisions. So what else? Okay, we all know we're emotional people. There are many people that we know, may even be one of us in this room or a couple of us in this room, who have fear, anxiety, and self-doubt. You struggle with this, and you just feel like every single time I'm about to take a step forward, all of a sudden you just get frozen up because of those emotions. Well, what if I were to tell you that FQ3C is able to help you remove the emotional stress and anxiety? It's able to help you process information in a way that's trustworthy. It's able to make it so that you're able to anchor correctly. Now, to explain anchoring for a second, just imagine a ship, and the ship puts its anchor, drops into water, and goes to the bottom of the ocean. The whole point of an anchor is to make it so that boat doesn't move. Well, guess what? Your emotions are the same exact way. Whether you like it or not, you allowed yourself to go into a position where when an event happens, or when you see something in front of you that you want, but yet you get this full emotional event, that was anchored. You trained yourself to be that way. And you know what is really hard? To pick up an anchor and move somewhere else and put it back down. That takes 20 times the amount of effort than we were originally trying to do when you just put the anchor down in the water in the first place. Everybody tracking with me so far? Okay, nod your head yes if this makes sense. Beautiful. Okay. So here's the situation. Your emotions account for 5% of your odds of success. Are you telling me that you're willing to let your stupid anxiety, your stupid fear, and I'm calling these stupid because you know what? You need to actually call them out. They are stupid because they're only 5%. They're this small. And they're preventing you from the amazing life, the amazing achievements, the amazing things that you could possibly be. And we know that just with 3 simple tactics of just doing goal writing and tracking and having some sort of accountability, you are more than likely going to be a completely different person. Just give it this decision. I'm going to say that again. Just give it this decision, and you'll get your 5%, and you'll also get the other piece of the pie too. It is crazy that this is holding you back. And I know that it's hard. Again, moving an anchor is hard, but you need to do something about this. Now, what are some things you can leverage? Honestly, we have group accountability. We also have coaches. We have people that are certified implementers and strategists that are more than capable, super skilled, creme de la creme, and they're ready to bring FQ3C to you to help you overcome these emotional challenges and make it so that your life is finally free of that stress, that anxiety, that fear, that crazy, that thing that is just so small getting in your way of what matters. Anyways, I digress, everybody, but I just want to let you know that we do care, and yes, this definitely works, and I can't wait for you guys to try it. Now, there's another area here that matters, right? And it's kind of touched on anchoring. It is the rewiring of your brain. Yes, your emotions are part of your brain. And yes, your thoughts are part of your brain. And yes, you can rewire it. In fact, you are basically like a computer, whether you like it or not. But the beautiful part is if you recognize yourself as somebody who can be programmable, then all that matters is who is programming. You can be the person who's programming your life. And how we go about solving this particular problem, which, by the way, the lower end of our people who do this see an average of 300% or more in their efficiency in their life. And we're not talking about just anywhere. We're talking about their business, their friends, their family, their passions, their vision, everything across the board. This is 300% across the board, and we have the data for this. It's to become certified. Yes, FQ3C certification means that you know how to implement FQ3C into every aspect of your life, and it rewires your brain so this fear and anxiety, the elements of you not having blurry vision, everything else, it just, I won't say goes away, but the management, it was a really, really big problem, and now it becomes a manageable small problem. And it's that for all aspects, because we are built and wired for FQ3C. Now, I'm going to talk about the last one for a second, and I'm going to let you know some bad news, okay? We see here something that's very common, especially in our youth, but honestly, it's become something that's tormenting a lot of people across all age groups, and that is distractions. Now, listen, I wish that FQ3C had a way to help you remove your distractions for you. But the truth is that the only way to remove distractions is by you. That's it. You are the one who's in control, which means that that percentage of about 8% is something that we can't do. Only you can do it. Now, I want to do this for a second. We're going to pivot here because we talked about the pie. We talked about what are your odds of success. We talked about the things holding you back. And we know that if you go and you overcome those pieces, you're able to secure the other 76% and do the basic stuff you're supposed to do. But today, what we want to do now is dive into the keys, okay? Now, the keys to success and what you measure really comes down to 12 variables. These 12 variables are there to track conviction. Yes, we are the first company to track conviction, and we're going to go over this right now. There's a difference between commitment and conviction, and we need to start here for definitions. Commitment leads to success, okay? Conviction leads to achievement. Remember that. Commitment leads to success. Conviction leads to achievement. Write it down. And I'm going to give you an example. To the left here, we see this person who's tying their shoes. You know what? This person decided all of a sudden, you know what? I want to make sure I don't fall on my face. So I'm going to commit to the act to tie my shoe. And when that person squatted down, committed to the act, tied their shoe, ta-da! Success. Oh, whoa, success. Isn't it funny how so many people are throwing the word around successful? You need to be successful in life. Listen, you're full of successes. You know why? Because you make a heck of a lot of commitments in your life, and you do the stuff all the time. So you have a slew of successes that even led to you coming here today. But what about conviction? To the right here, we see a picture of a rendition of Jesus on the cross. Now, whether you were Christian or Muslim, Buddhist, or politically whatever, we collectively would have to agree on this one thing, that if there was a story that showcased conviction to the optimal level possible, Christ did it, right? You do not go and willingly die on a cross, take on billions and billions and billions of people spanning over centuries of their sins, go into hell, kick Satan's butt, kick death's butt, rise again on the third day, and then go around and tell people, hey, I just did this for you. Now you get a free pass. You can't do that with commitment. That is conviction, which is why he was able to achieve so much, including today being one of the top 3 world religions. I'm going to put it to you another way. And I'm going to build up for this one. Have you guys ever heard of like Tony Robbins or Kevin O'Leary or Gary Vee? Those I think are the more popular ones today. Ever say, hey, listen, I'm going to give you the keys to success, right? Well, what's most of the things that these people and these gurus are going to say? They're going to say, Consistency is key. They're going to say discipline is key. They're going to say focus is key. Just focus. You'll get it done. Just focus on one thing. They're going to say that your net worth is your network. So networking is key. And I'm gonna just let you know the truth, guys. That's not true. The truth is that there's actually a lot of keys. We know that there's 12 variables, but the key, if you will, to unlock your particular challenge, your particular success, your particular series of a combination of numbers, letters, and jumbles, you are a beautifully made, complex person, comes out to a minimum of 4,000 different possible combinations. Yes, for one of you, or some of you who are listening to this, Tony Robbins, when he went and had you walk across that fire, that was your key. Absolutely could have been. But you know what? There's another potentially 4,000 plus people that was not their answer. They needed something else, a different combination. And it could be a complete and total rewrite for all we know, where everything's completely washed and they start from new. Out of all these keys and all these combinations, all these variables that we just discussed, unfortunately, we don't have enough time to go over all of them. There's just no way. And if you want to know more, you're going to have to get certified, or you're going to have to try and use some tools. You're going to have to speak with whoever it is that invites you today. You're going to have to speak with one of our implementers or strategists, right? But we have enough time to go for about 5. So let's go over those really, really quick. Make sure to write these down. Make sure to get this ingrained. And if you don't get these down by today, come back next week. We're going to do it again. You're always going to have another opportunity to run through it. The first one's frequency. Frequency stands for a quantity within a parameter. Now, I know that this might not make sense to you yet, but what if I do this? 50 miles per hour. 50 is the quantity, miles, right? That's the quantity. Per, if you notice, that's a sign means parameter, hour. That is frequency. Nothing more, nothing less. Some other examples are 7 muffins per table, or 15 push-ups, parameter set. This is nice and easy. This is basically just the data. What is the hard truth without any emotions behind it, right? Well, speaking of emotions, you know what? That's a really important key to your success, to you achieving. Well, let's talk about quality for a second. Quality is what is good as defined by the perceiver, just like a thermometer. I might think the 72 is super hot, and you might think that 72 is too cold. We have different perceptions, different idea of what good is. A great example, again, is I love pineapple, but how many of you love pineapple pizza? Fun fact, I went to Italy. I tried to order a pineapple pizza, literally got booed by the entire place, and the guy sitting across from me ordered a hamburger pizza. Freaking wild. I'm like, what? Why am I the bad guy here? What about football? Or for those of you who are crazy about football, football. Right? Okay. All of a sudden, we're very polarized, right? Or what about those of you, by show of hands, who want to be a business owner? Yes, this is a good thing. Some of you look at this and go like, oh, I'd never want to do that. The headache's crazy, right? What about having to write the application to the business owner? So as you can see, there's a wide variance of good. And a lot of these things we might even be aligning on together. But it doesn't change the fact that there is a temperature, a range. So let's look at consistency for a second. Consistency can be difficult, and I'm going to say it in 2 different ways. But I'm going to give you the actual definition that we use at FQ3C, which is frequency plus quality over time. Now, for those of you who look at this and go like, oh no, math, oh no. All we're saying is you do the right thing the same exact way in the same amount of quantity over time. That's it. Same exact way with the same amount of quantity with the same quality over time. Meaning you have to have at least 2 Two events happen. You know, 2 push-ups, you finally have consistency entering into play, as long as they're done the same way, right? So another example of this is the metronome. Imagine if the metronome was going and then all of a sudden sped up randomly in the middle of a concert. Everybody would just be completely thrown off. Or imagine if all of a sudden it just stopped clicking altogether. It canceled its frequency or canceled its quality. It causes chaos is what it is. So yes, this is its own key, its own variable. And yes, it is a key, but not the key. Now, the other variable that most people will get mixed up with consistency is continuity. And here's why. Continuity is what is all of the surrounding consistencies. We see this picture here, this individual in the center. This person represents our consistency variable, or the person who's doing the same exact frequency with the same exact quality over time, okay? He has the spotlight on him. That is our first 3 variables. But if we look at the rest of them, they're, you know, not in alignment. They collectively are the continuity. And we might say this person has a bad continuity. But what if we take this person who's a star and we put him on stage where everybody loves him? All of a sudden, everything is supporting his consistency. That is changing his continuity. Changes continuity. He didn't change anything. He stayed exactly the same, right? We're going to look at this again. This doesn't just have to be circumstances like that, right? It can also be your tools. I like to point out that this guy has effectively a butter knife trying to cut a tree. Bad continuity. This person is in a specific role where she's not supposed to be betting. Yep, roles can be continuity. This person looks like he could have been $1 million until we take a look and he's in public without his pants on. Again, bad continuity of his place, of his position. Well, how do we know for sure that this is not consistency? We're going to take this gentleman again, and what we're going to do is we're going to change his continuity, and all of a sudden your eyes are going to go, oh, you're going to relax, and you're going to be like, oh, this makes sense. Yep. It makes sense, doesn't it? Now he could be having the same exact call with a hedge fund manager, and he's just doing business, and it happens to be in the beginning of his time before he's heading to work. Continuity is incredibly important in your life. What about the next one, which is actually going to be our last one that we're going to share today? Clarity. We've talked a little bit about this already, especially when we talked about one of those biggest problems, the blurry vision. So let's define it for a second. What is clarity? What does that really actually mean? What does it really look like? Clarity is when you remove everything. It is actually getting to 0. There is nothing in the way of understanding. 0 barriers in the way, okay? So how many would say that this looks like, if you just look at the water, clear water, okay? But notice how we see a bunch of rocks in the way. Those rocks are actually preventing it from being clear, because this is what clear water actually looks like. I'm not going to go too further on that, but I wanted to give you an understanding that it means 0. Nothing in the way. So now we've gone over the 5. I do want to let you know again, there's 12. There's actually 12 variables that FQ3C measures. And we've only been able to go over 5 of them. And quickly, I want to just do one more brush pass. It's going to be really, really fast, so that in case you needed to remember what those were, I'm going to give it to you again. Definition of frequency is quantity within a parameter. Definition of quality is what is good as determined by the perceiver. Definition of consistency is F, which is frequency, plus Q over time. Continuity is C1s, which is our term or way of saying our consistency surrounding our primary consistency. So C1s are the surrounding consistencies, surrounding the primary consistency. Clarity is 0 barriers to understanding. Now, I hope that so far we've given you enough value today. My apologies for the cough. I actually am sick today. And I hope this also shows you how convicted I am up to you and to this, to making sure that you have the opportunity to learn more and see more and join us in this. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the business. FQ3C is a company, of course. And yes, we were founded in 2024. So we're pretty new. But even though we're 2024 is when we started, we are already a global company. And our team, everybody who's involved, has well over a decade of experience within human behavioral design, data analytics, finance, all sorts of stuff. It's pretty cool. It's crazy that we're even able to do that and say that. Now, I do want to mention quickly that FQ3C is Christ-centered. Yes, it was not not a joke. It was intentional that we did talk about Christ as the element of pure conviction that we are modeling after. And whether you think that Christ is real or not, you sure want to have a company that is observing and emulating the conviction level of somebody like Christ. That's who you want in your corner, right? So why are we here? Why do you want us in your corner? Well, ultimately, it's to help you and your company avoid multi-million-dollar mistakes. Yes, actually, multi-million-dollar mistakes that are utilized by our behavioral tracking and analytics. That's a bunch of just fancy words for saying we give you the 76% of those odds in your favor and your team, and we're able to observe them. And that makes it so you can have better vision and make better decisions. That's all it is. And we're able to take these methods and systems that we use for literally multi-million-dollar deals, and we're able to give it to the individual, the people just like you. So if these work for $300 million deals and companies doing crazy transactions like that, why would it not work for you and you just trying to maybe buy a home, or maybe you just trying to get a job, or you trying to find love, whatever it may be? Now, I do want to specifically just let you know that we do have a mission in all of this. We're not just doing this for profits. We are on a crusade. And I mentioned it before about the fox and the wolf. There are predators and there's prey. And here's what we know. Predators hate conviction because a person who is convicted is no longer able to be prey. That's why we want to bring conviction to the masses. That's what we want to do. And if this resonates to you, we want you to join us. We want you to come and fight the crazy systems and products and services and people who are just preying upon the weak and harming everyone around us. I have friends and family that have been screwed over so many times, it's crazy. I don't want them to do that again. And I'm sure that you don't want to see that happen to the people that you love either. So let's describe the problem for a second. We really have four main problems as to why we need to bring conviction back. Number one, we have four epidemics. An epidemic of clarity. Talked about that earlier. We have an epidemic of accountability. We have an epidemic of achievement. And all of this stems from the epidemic of conviction. Here's the short of it. We don't live in a world where people are living with conviction anymore. They don't live convicted full lives. Most people are walking around living with commitments and yet breaking them. Just like with what we see in marriages today. That used to be a covenant. That used to be something that was full of conviction. You were going to spend the rest of your life with this person. And now we see 50% of the people end their marriages. That doesn't sound like conviction to me. That sounds like just commitments. And then they made another commitment later on. And they're swapping it out. That's a terrible world to live in. And if we need to see another example of what a world full of conviction looks like, especially in the history of the United States, which many would argue was the peak of the United States history, where we could see the entire nation come together in a completely convicted manner, is in World War II. Not only the United States, but the entire Allies decided to finally rise up and spent years with a single focal point, which was eliminating communism, getting rid of Hitler, and saving all the people that are in concentration camps, which includes people of color, different sexual orientation, people who are obviously Jewish, all sorts of stuff. But the point is that what they were doing was not okay. And there was a line drawn in the sand. and we became convicted. And that is actually what led to the United States having the greatest prosperous time we've ever seen in the entire world. It stemmed from conviction. So if you don't think it's powerful, let me bring this up instead. Many of you have heard the Four Quadrants by Robert Kiyosaki. I'm just going to go over it quick, and we're going to actually do a twist on this with FQ3C. In the top left here, you see quadrant 1, which is typically supposed to be the people who are employees. In the bottom left, we see people who are self-employee. I like to say that, but yes, they're self-employed. Maybe they're business owners on paper, right? But they actually work for their business. Then you have people who actually own a business where you're able to do other things and your business still runs without you. And then you have the people who are living as an investor. This is where your money works for you. Now, most people look at this and go like, oh, I want to be an investor. Okay, but let's look at this from a different light. Let's look at this from the reality, okay? In order to be a person who's an employee and self-employed, you have to have the mentality, that anchoring, where you're exchanging your time for money. If you want to be on the other side of this equation, you need to be spending money to get time so that your money and your time work for you. And if that doesn't sound hard, just wait. Let's look at this from a different light. Let's look at this from the 4 quadrants of FQ3C. There are 4 different types of goals that you are really going to have in life, generally speaking. The first goal is going to be daily goals. This is honestly the types of goals that most workers have. You chose to live for the weekend or live for the moment. And so, you know what? You're always going to be working for somebody else. It's just part of being an employee. And having your great beers with your buddies on the weekends. What about the self-employee, the business owner? Well, most of them are working for life goals. These types of goals are keeping them bound because they're chasing things like houses, cars. They're chasing maybe some general lifestyles. Whatever the point, their life goals are what's driving their activity and the mentality, which is why they're trading their time for money again. And they're working for the business. They're not willing to change the mindset to get out of it. Well, what about the other side here? The business owner who actually has the business working for them, their goals are achievement-based. They want to be number 1. They aren't willing to settle for number 2. They want to do the hard things. They want to do the difficult things. They want to do the things that are in that 0.01% of the population, which is why they go and get all the accolades. Well, what about then our investor? The investor works off of legacy. The reason why they're so focused on money working for them is because they understand they're probably going to pass away and they want something to leave on and pass on to everybody else around them. So they typically work off of legacy goals, such as what Abraham Lincoln did, being the president. He's left a legacy, right? Well, here's the thing. You remember going back to that conviction versus commitment? The people who are on the left side of the 4 quadrants live typically a life where it is commitment-based. So if you right now are an employee or you're a regular business owner, you've not built a business that's working for you, I would challenge you to really think about this. Are you actually living a life of commitment, or are you actually living a life of conviction? Because on the right-hand side, these people live a life of conviction. What does conviction even look like? What does it even mean? It means when every single aspect of your fiber, of your being, is specifically geared towards and operating towards a single motive. It's all in. That's what it is. There's nothing else that exists but what's in front of me, what matters. That is conviction. So the question is which side do you want to be on? Do you want to be on the side of commitment? Or do you want to be a side of conviction? Now I'm going to let you guys know this. If you haven't caught on already, we say that the people who generally are living a life of conviction are actually living a life where it's productive. And the people who are living a life of commitment are, hilariously enough, both the prey and parasitic predators. Yes, the system has been built to make sure that you stay on the left-hand side, not lying about that. But also, if you're accepting that as a conditions, are you not also in a position where you may be a predator yourself? Especially if you're gloating over it. So this is what I want to do. I want to urge you and I want to challenge you to do something crazy today. What I want you to do is to think in legacy. And here's why. When you have a legacy goal, your achievement goals align with your legacy goals, which also means that then your life goals align with your achievement goals, which means that also your daily goals align with your life goals. Your activity will align with each other so that your daily activities will make it so it feeds into your life goals, which will then feed into your achievement goals, which will then create your legacy. And a person who's willing to move from one to the other, that's a person who lives a life of conviction. So if you are not moving, you may potentially be prey or predator. And we don't want you to be that way. So here's the situation. If you want to live a life where it's daily goals, living for the weekend, whatever it might be, I'm going to let you know it's okay. It's not like there's anything wrong with you for that. And honestly, as far as FQ3C is concerned, you just need the base 5 variables. That was our second place model. That's all you need. And you can live your life that way. And you want to know where to get that? Just show up here to FunFri. Come here, bring your friends, bring some beers, and just hang out and master it. And when you master it, you know what's going to do. It's still going to improve your life. But if you're looking to get to the next level, you want to get to the point where you are somebody who is becoming a life goal or an achievement goal person. The life goal people, you need to have all 12 variables. There's no way around it. This means you got to get at least maybe the book or get some accountability, work with a coach, get into some groups. You got to have something there to aid you. And if you don't, you're wasting so much of your potential. You're literally sacrificing upwards of 80+% of your success pie just because you're not bringing FQ3C into the equation. For those of you who are trying to become a business owner on the right-hand side, or maybe even go into legacy, we have tools that are there to save you time because guess what? You value your time so much that you're willing to pay to get time back. That's just how it works. Well, that's what our tools are built for. We want to make it so you're not spending an hour and a half every single day on these 5 goals. We want to make it so it's done in 10 minutes. We don't want to make it so that you're spending a year just trying to get clear on the objectives of you and your team. We want to make it so that that stuff can be done in 45 minutes. You know, let's get this done in a day at the very least. Our tools are there for you to be able to help assist in those arenas in case you're lost, in case you don't know what to do next. And for those of you who want to live a life of legacy, there's no way around that one either. The tools are more than likely not going to get you there. If you've ever met a billionaire, you will know that they move so differently that it's insane. And I would highly suggest getting certified. The certification will open up the world about how they move, how they operate. And I can tell you this, that tracking, that goal creation, that accountability, the removal of the distractions, have the right mentality, it's super important. But how are you going to really know and how are you going to really observe it and experience it unless you know what they are working with? That's what the certification is able to expose to you. So listen, as far as FQ3C is concerned, you, again, may have been a person who came here because you were looking at some products and services. You may be a person who came because somebody shared this with you and they thought that exposing you to FQ3C would be valuable. Others of you, you are here because you're interested in a potential opportunity. You want to help spread FQ3C. Whatever your reason is for that, right now, there's really 2 ways that you can truly get involved. and help FQ3C and help overcome these predators and help make it so that the world is able to become a convicted world. And that is, first, focus on yourself. Yeah, you actually being better helps us because you're just one of those other stories. You're another person. We need to change the world. So yeah, we want you there. Now, whether that is, again, you're coming back here, you're getting certified, using software, whatever it is, please, we want you to work on yourself because that helps everybody. Second is to help others. By you being here today, more than likely something was valuable to you. Something inside of this, you went, you know what, my mom or my grandma or my cousin or a best buddy or my manager or my employees would absolutely benefit from at least one of these things. If that is the case, then share it with them. And also, we have group accountability. We have places you can plug into. We have places that they can plug into. We also have coaches who'd be more than happy to help you with that formal accountability that we know accounts for that 26% of your odds of success. And we'd love to help everybody with this. So the question is how do you get started? Well, first and foremost, you can become a partner. So take a moment, scan the QR code. And when you scan this QR code, yes, I'm serious. Get your phone, pull it out. It's okay. Click on that camera button. Yep, and scan this code. When you fill out that form, you can become a partner. And listen, there's a few different types of partners. One is a silent partner. This is somebody who loves what we're doing, loves what we see, but maybe they don't want to attach their brand to it for whatever reason. It's totally okay. But you still want to be able to help those around you. We also have affiliate partners. These are people who want to be more open. Maybe you're becoming more of like a marketing partner. We also have sales team members. Yes, if you're interested in doing sales for M&A, or if you're interested in doing sales and running meetings just like this one to help spread the word, and it can lead to sales, absolutely. We would love to bring more people on there as well. And then, of course, we have corporate partners. These are strategic partnerships with corporations that see how FQ3C can potentially even change their industry. Now, whichever one you select, doesn't matter. We're going to have different communications with you regarding that. But the point is this. When you become a partner, you unlock the ability to earn some cash. For our B2C clienteles, if you were to invite them to just the FunFris each week, and any one of them end up taking part in helping themselves and using some of the FQ3C products to save that time and get rid of that vision blurriness and whatever, all the other things that we covered today, then you could see as much as $50 per invitee that you could make. I'd be happy to give that back to you. Now, obviously, if that doesn't seem interesting to you, then if you know businesses, if you know anybody in the M&A space, and you invite them to our FQ3C FunFri event, and that leads to us being able to start a relationship with them on the low end, that's about $2,000 per invitee. So yes, you absolutely can make money here, no matter which of the different types of partnerships. And here's what we do know. You are going to love it. You're going to be excited. You're going to grow. You're going to develop. The amount of changes that we've seen in people who brought on FQ3C to themselves and their teams is crazy. It's insane. There's a reason why we are the gold standard for goal creation now. It's because it works. And we're data driven. So the last thing that you can do, if you were looking at that, you're like, no, I don't want to be a partner, totally okay. You might have been one of those other people who showed up because your friend invited you, or again, you just wanted to learn more, or maybe you're already a client. We know this. If you have not mastered these fundamentals yet, basically, if you're not able to just rattle off the statistics, if you're not able to rattle off the 4 quadrants, for example, with FQ3C built in, if those things are not baked into you, part of your fundamentals of you and how you view the world, then pull out your phone. If you have, those that you already put away, yep, pull it out again. Scan this QR code and schedule for next week. We have people to return that literally every single week they return as much as they can. Obviously, this was Thanksgiving, so not nearly as much of a turnout. But you know what's crazy? We still have one. That's how crazy powerful FQ3C is. So we'd love for you to join us. And more importantly, this is for you. You should do yourself a favor and show up again next Friday if there's anything that you missed. If you have any questions whatsoever, because we're running out of time. Now listen, on that page, if you went there and you were scheduling, you were going to also see some links. That means that every time that you go to reschedule, you can find some really nice, easy tools that are readily available. First is to write your goal. If you want to help with writing your goal, saving that hour or so, that year's worth of time to do that 45 minutes worth of work, then, or sorry, to do that year's worth of work in just 45 minutes, then writing your goals using our AI assistant. That link will take you directly to the tool that's the best fit there. If you're a person who wants to track your goals, then yes, you actually need to do our FQ3C goals writing and tracking AI assistance, the whole shebang. It's really cheap, absolutely affordable, and totally worth it, especially if you're going to get at least 76% of your odds, just by using that alone. And then, of course, goal accountability. We do have our accountability groups where you can connect with a certified implementer. And speaking of which, we have some certified implementers here today. So if you wouldn't mind, please, I'm going to give you, let's give you 10 seconds here. Put in your information into the chat, and that will allow everybody to see who to connect with, right? And if you came here because of social media or something, and it wasn't actually an invite, we're, again, extremely happy to see you here. And one of these people will probably be one of the best connections that you can make today. So I'm going to give just 2 more seconds. Okay, thank you. Okay, awesome. So everybody's put in their stuff. So that leaves us with the last piece here. We have just a couple of minutes. Actually, we really only have time for about 2 questions. And what we're going to do is actually stop the recording. And what we're going to do is a quick little Q&A time, 2 questions. And no matter what, thank you so much for showing up today. We're excited to see you next week. We're going to do this all over again. And actually, we have more presenters coming. So that is a really cool announcement. We have even an actually ex-NBA exhibition players coming, and he'll be eventually running some of these events. And we also have another specialist, behavioral specialist by the name of Elizabeth, and she's been doing a great job, and she's getting her feet wet. She's going to be running these meetings too. So it's not just going to be me each week. You're going to get to hear from different people who are passionate and love this and understand and are here for the crusade. They're here for the vision. They want to make you and see you succeed.